Hey everyone, welcome back to Linux Network. If you're new here, this is the place where we talk about Linux in plain, simple language, no confusing jargon, no assuming you already know everything. Just real talk about what's happening in the Linux world. And today we've got a big one. Garuda Linux just dropped a brand new release and it's called TEMERAIRE. This is their first major release in over a year, so if you've been waiting for something new from Garuda, today is your day. So let's get into it. First thing you'll notice, the name itself is different from what Garuda usually does. Up until now, Garuda has always named its releases after eagles and other birds of prey. That's actually where the name Garuda comes from in the first place. It's a mythological bird creature. But starting now, they're switching things up. Future releases are going to be named after dragons pulled from mythology, movies, anime, video games, and books. In this release, Temeraire is actually named after the main character from a series of fantasy novels called His Majesty's Dragon. Apparently, it's a personal favorite of one of the developers, which is a nice little touch if you ask me. So yeah, if you're a Garuda user, get ready to see some cooler, more dramatic release names going forward. Now let's talk about what's actually new, because there is a lot here. If you use one of the Plasma edition of Garuda, that's Dragonized or Mocha, you're getting a nice round of visual polish, new theming files, some general cleanup, and they've dropped something called the Better Blur plugin. Basically, that plugin was causing performance problems for some people, so it's gone now for the sake of a smoother experience. But here is the bigger change. Both Plasma Edition have switched their login screen software. They used to use something called SDDM and now they're using Plasma Login Manager instead. If you're an existing user, don't worry, this switch already happened automatically in the background through updates. You probably didn't even notice. If you want your login screen to look like the classic Garuda style again, they've actually published short guides for both editions, and I'll drop those links down in the description for you. If you're running the Hyprland edition, this release is one of the bigger ones. The entire configuration system has been rewritten using something called Lua. Think of it as the language behind the settings, and Lua makes things easier to tune and customize. On top of that, the screen lock tool switched to something called Hyperlock. Kitty is now the default terminal app. The wallpaper system moved from one backend to a new one. There is a fresh waybar theme, which is that status bar you see at the top of the screen. And they added an emoji picker, brightness shortcuts, a low battery warning, and better automatic keyboard layout detection. If you're already running Garuda's Hyprland edition, most of these got pushed to you automatically through system updates, so there is a good chance your system already looks and feels a bit different without you even installing anything new. Historically, if you had an Nvidia graphics card and wanted to use the Sway edition of Garuda, you were in for a rough time. That's changed now. Sway has been configured to work with Nvidia hardware right out of the box, including in the installer and the live USB environment itself. They also improved transparency and shadow effects, added new window animations, and this is a nice one for beginners, added a graphical tool for setting up your monitors instead of having to edit config files by hand. This next part is a bit more technical, but stick with me because it actually matters for anyone installing Garuda fresh. When you're setting up your drive during installation, the installer will now automatically pick the best sector size your disk supports. And if you choose to encrypt your drive, it's now using a more modern and more secure encryption method by default. In simple terms, your data is safer and the installer is just smarter about picking the right settings for your specific hardware without you needing to know all the technical details yourself. Okay, this one is actually a pretty big deal under the hood. For years, Garuda shipped with something called the Zen kernel as its default. The kernel is basically the core piece of software that lets your operating system talk to your hardware. Well, that's changing. Garuda is now shipping with a kernel based on CashOS kernel work, which many Garuda users were already installing manually anyway because it's just really well optimized. It also automatically rebuilds itself to stay compatible with Nvidia drivers, so you don't have to worry about your graphics card breaking after an update. Full credit to the CashOS team here, they've done fantastic work on this. If you used Garuda before, you probably remember there used to be a bunch of separate tools for managing your system. One for settings, one for maintenance, one for gaming stuff, and so on. That's officially over now. Garuda Toolbox has now fully replaced all of those older tools and it's became a genuine one-stop shop. It handles system maintenance, system settings, kernel management, user accounts, gaming tools, software discovery, boot options, network settings, diagnostics, and even gives you quick access to the most important config files. If you're new to Linux, this is honestly a great thing, because instead of hunting around for 6 different apps, everything lives in one place now. Alright, before we keep going, if you're finding this useful, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon too, so you don't miss the next video. I put a lot of time into breaking down these releases in a way that actually makes sense, and it really helps the channel grow when you subscribe and ring that bell for notifications. And speaking of support, a massive thank you to all of my channel members. Seriously, you guys are the reason I can keep doing this constantly, and I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you. Okay, let's keep going because there is still more to cover. FIREDRAGON is Garuda's own custom web browser, and version 13 brought a ton of changes under the hood. It's essentially been rebuilt from a new base, which makes it noticeably faster than before. Features like the built-in workspaces and notes tool are now developed in-house by the Garuda team themselves, rather than relying on outside add-ons. If browser speed and privacy matters to you, this is a solid update. The default software that comes pre-installed on Garuda has also been cleaned up. A bunch of outdated or unnecessary packages got removed. The gaming edition especially benefits here. It no longer installs an entire bundle of KDE games you probably never asked for. Instead, it focuses on actual gaming tools, launchers, and performance tweaks that gamers on Linux actually want. Every year, the Garuda community votes on user-submitted artwork for their wallpapers, and the 2026 winner has officially been announced. Congrats to the winner, whose design was created with Hyprland and Cosmic editions in mind. It's already been rolled into the wallpaper packages, so if you update your system, you'll get access to it too. Big shout out to everyone who submitted art and voted this year. That's honestly one of my favorite community traditions in the Linux space. 2 smaller but very useful updates to close things out. First, Garuda now hosts its own Arch Linux mirrors and it's distributed globally, meaning it should be fast no matter where you're located. If you want to use it, there is a simple line you can add to your pacman configuration file, and I'll put that in the description for anyone who wants to copy and paste it. Second, the chaotic AUR website, which is where a lot of Garuda's extra packages come from, just got a big upgrade. You can now see estimated build times, more detailed statistics, filtering options, and even live logs while packages are being built. If you're someone who likes to know exactly what's happening behind the scenes, this is a nice addition. That's Garuda Temeraire in a nutshell. New kernel, new login manager, a fully rewritten Hyprland experience, Nvidia support for Sway, a smarter installer, a much more complete Toolbox app, and a faster browser, all wrapped up with some community love through the artwork contest. If you want to try it out, all the download links for every edition, Cinnamon, Dragonized Gaming, Cosmic, Nom, KDE Lite, Hyprland, iFree, Mocha, Sway, and XFCE are all down in the description below. As always, if this video helped you out, drop a like, leave a comment if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.